All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So we have a lot to talk about in our live stream today. So the first topic that I want to talk about is how your crypto is being tracked. Okay, because I just saw a news story talking about this, and I wanted to bring it up and break it down for you all. Some of those popular applications that people think are anonymous are not quite as anonymous as you might think they are. We're going to look at a lot of news updates that have happened in this space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications. Subscribe. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. You can also follow me on Twitter, turn on tweet notifications there. I usually post a link whenever we start our stream. We're going to look at some of the crypto markets, answer some of your questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You started today. Last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice for you. And there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below pretending to be me. Like I'm never going to give you my phone number on YouTube, ask you to invest with me. Never going to DM you on another social network, try to get you to join some private chat group, direct message, Telegram, Discord, whatever, to try to get you to, invest money. It's just not going to happen. So we got people in the chat here. We got Ethan, CodeChat, ENIAC, World, Lee, Venture Warrior. Awesome. Welcome. Robert. So let's go ahead and dive into this. But before we do, some really quick pieces of housekeeping. Number one is today's going to be my last day of streaming until the new year. So I'm going to be taking a break from live streaming only starting tomorrow. So no live stream tomorrow until January 3rd. So there will be a live stream on January 3rd. But in between now and then, I'll be taking a little bit of a break, recharging my batteries for the end of the year, for the beginning of the new year. And I'll be releasing published videos on YouTube, so just stay tuned for those. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. I'll still have a couple of videos come out in between now and the new year. But yeah, no streams until January 3rd after today. The other thing is, quick piece of housekeeping is we still have the applications open for our open roles at Dapp University. I will be sitting down to review these pretty soon. So if you've been thinking about applying, now is definitely the time. Okay, and if you have applied and you haven't heard anything back yet, that's why. We're still keeping this open. I'm going to be reviewing these pretty soon. Our main needs here are a blockchain developer, content creator, a research analyst, content creator. We also need a full-time designer for YouTube thumbnails and a lot more, and also a project manager to stay on top of everything that we have going on here behind the scenes. So if you've been thinking about applying, now is the time, and you should have some extra time over the holidays. So, all right, let's jump into this. I've a lot of stuff out of the way at the beginning. I want to go ahead and front load that the video in case somebody comes on the stream today and doesn't realize that we're not meeting. So that's why. Let's talk about crypto being tracked. So I saw this news story come out. And this is definitely worth talking about because this is something that a lot of newcomers to this space in particular don't understand, and you need to understand. And also, if you're somewhat familiar with this concept, deepening your understanding of how this works is going to be super valuable, especially if you're trying to build something in the blockchain space, which is what I always, really try to push people to do, whether you're building your own project or working with a team. As a blockchain developer is one of the best ways to really make it in this space. So talking about decentralized exchanges tracking your trades. So decentralized exchanges are often seen as a privacy-first alternative to centralized exchanges, yet many of the biggest ones are tracking what trades their users are making and collecting data that could be used to identify them, that is, their users. Okay, and it kind of goes through, point by point here about each exchange. Like Uniswap, why they would be doing it, monitoring for compliance reasons. Of course, we're seeing lots of dApps get pushed back from regulators, especially ones that release tokens on compliance, for compliance reasons. I'm trying to think of a better way to say it than that. But we see DYDX to prevent illegal activity, 1inch tracking down hackers. Okay, Paraswap is minimizing data collection. They talk about its privacy policy, all that type of stuff. But let's just talk about the real topic, that the common thread through all these things is about tracking your crypto, because a lot. This happens time and time again. I hear this from people who are in crypto, new to crypto, people who are not in, and they think, oh, crypto can't be tracked, right? Like Bitcoin can't be tracked. Your activity on a blockchain can't be tracked. Well, it's like, well, the entire thing is a giant public ledger where all the data is publicly available. Like, of course, everything can be tracked. It's like very easy to track every single activity, every single piece of activity on the blockchain. Now, the question is, can that activity be linked back to your personal identity? That's the real question here. So, let me talk about how these DEXs are likely doing it. I don't know exactly how they're all doing it, but I can tell you what's possible. Everything in Web 2.0, if you're using Web 2.0 today, your privacy is gone. Okay, like your privacy is gone. Pretty much any website can have if you give any information to any website, it can get a pretty good guess as to who you are from lots of different data points. Your browser, your IP address, if you're on a mobile device, you're using a native app, the device fingerprint, all this type of stuff. We have massive data warehouses that are collecting all this information that can get a pretty good guess as to who you are many, many times. Unless you're a sophisticated user and you know how to, you know how to basically get around a lot of this stuff, you're still not even safe all the time. So, some of this even comes from just cookies, website cookies. So, like if you wonder on your phone if you see personalized ads about something you saw on the internet somewhere, like, why am I seeing it on this other website? Well, it's because all these websites have, tracking pixels on them with it's Facebook, Google ads, whatever. And so every time you go to that site, they're basically just able to pull your user ID off of, Facebook or Twitter or whatever website that you use that you're logged into, Gmail with Google Analytics, okay? And so it's really easy to just link that to your Ethereum address whenever you connect your MetaMask wallet. And so now you've not only supplied all your browsing history and your email addresses and everything, you've also submitted your blockchain addresses when that gets read from MetaMask from these, user interfaces. When you've used a Uniswap or some other, I'm not saying this is exactly what Uniswap's doing behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm just telling you what's possible. Because beginners need to understand this, okay? And if you're not, maybe you're not a beginner and you don't realize this. This is new information for a lot of people. It's okay. I'm just trying to illuminate the situation here. So that's what's possible. You can just link it with your blockchain address, and then boom, your identity's done. And so whenever that activity is linked to your blockchain address, you can link that to other addresses. So did the same browser look at get activity from multiple different wallets? Well, then you can link all those wallets back to each other and create a profile of who that person is. So similarly, if you buy funds on an exchange and then you withdraw it to a blockchain address, there's a high likelihood that you own that address. Okay, not necessarily. You might pay somebody something. You might, buy something online where you pay directly from your centralized exchange account. But if you deposit and withdraw from that address, it's a high likelihood that you own it. And so that's also going to very easily get linked to your profile too. And then every single piece of activity, if it's very easy to track. So that's what you have to know about this. All right. So let's talk about, number one, does it matter? So that's a good question. I would say that basically it depends, just like every complicated question. It doesn't matter in the sense of it's not going to prevent most people from continuing to do it, even if they know that their information is being collected. Because a lot of people know that social networks, for example, don't always have their best interest in mind and are collecting data about them and doing things with that data, but it's not powerful enough for them to stop using it. Okay, so I think this is a very similar type of situation. Does it ultimately matter? Most people just don't care that much, okay? And especially in crypto, I think people are hungry for the gains, and they're willing to make that compromise because of that upside potential, okay? So let's talk about the ways around this. So what would you have to do if you wanted to not be tracked? Well, first of all, you're not going to be able to use, dApps with websites. You're not going to be able to go to the website, use the interface, connect your wallet. and be anonymous, because that's just not going to happen. So what could you do if you wanted to increase the likelihood of anonymity? Or let me just tell you how challenging the problem is if you're going to try to do this and totally get off the grid. Okay, I'm not telling you to do this, right? This is not like advice. I'm just going to tell you what kind of hurdle you'd have to overcome. So basically, you would have to, let's just reverse engineer the problem. So you would need to interact with the blockchain in a way that's very difficult to trace your address. Or associate your address with an account. So let's look at interacting with applications. So if you're going to use dApps, like a decentralized exchange, for example, you need to interact with the smart contracts themselves. So now, if you watch this channel, you've done any of the coding content we put out there, we did the blockchain bootcamp, you would know how to actually use smart contracts with code, with scripts, your own applications. All right, you could definitely do that. You could write scripts that make trades to where you can interact with the blockchain directly without using those user interfaces, okay? Or you could build your own user interfaces, right? Now, you would also have to be able to connect to the blockchain in a way where people can't trace your connection. So you can't just like use somebody else's Ethereum node. Like you can't just go to Infura and sign up for an Ethereum node. Like you'd have to run one yourself. You'd probably also need a way to connect to the internet in a way that would be difficult to trace who owns a connection to the internet, okay? And then you'd also have to get cryptocurrency to pay for the transactions and get other cryptocurrency in a way where it's hard to track how you got it in the first place. So that would, your best bet in that case is probably going to be to mine the cryptocurrency. There are other ways to do it. You could get it OTC, over the counter. You could get somebody else to buy it for you, but then there's always going to be these links about how to potentially connect that back to you. What I'm saying is, I'm not telling you to do all this stuff, right? I'm not trying to educate you so that you can go off and do like nefarious things with blockchain technology, but if you care about privacy, like this is the hurdle that you would have to overcome to increase the likelihood that you're not getting tracked up by everything. So, that's just the state of things, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, like I was saying, for most people, I don't know how much it, they don't care enough to not stop doing it. But this is something that new people in the space definitely need to understand, because there's a lot of people who think, I'm not going to pay my taxes. Like they can't track me. It's like, well, they can track you pretty easily. And there's a lot more to it than just that. But that's one of the most common things that I hear. It's like, I'm not gonna pay my taxes. Like, they don't know I have this. It's like, yeah, they probably do. Somebody just pay your taxes. It's not a big deal. Like I was saying, there's multiple perspectives on this. Like, I think a lot of people don't care that much, because if they did, they'd stop doing it. But I don't think people care that much. Somebody says anonymous wallet and VPN. So, I mean, it just depends on where the funds come from for anonymous wallet. I think about VPNs is you have to trust that your VPN isn't actually just logging every single thing that you actually do. A lot of VPNs are centralized, and there's a trust assumption there. I'm not saying that they're bad, and I'm not saying that your VPN is just going to sell you out, but what happens if your VPN had to answer to a court subpoena, right? You could very easily have to fork over private information about you. Somebody says, do I hate USA? Why wouldn't you pay your taxes? I didn't say I wouldn't pay my taxes. I pay my taxes. Okay, so let's look at crypto markets here. Kind of get an update. So I would personally call things a little bit boring right now in the crypto markets, okay? So, we've kind of been on this downtrend, but showing some signs of strength. I thought ETH in particular has been looking pretty strong over the past couple weeks, relative to the recent local trend. That's what I would say. All right, because we've kind of been in this slight bearishness. All right, but we've seen some good support right here, and I've been seeing this as strength, but it's still kind of boring. Okay. My big view on this is that we are still on a global uptrend. That uptrend we don't really have a good indication. I think that uptrend has been broken. That's what it looks like, roughly speaking, from a basic, high-level technical, view. Again, I'm not a technical analyst. I don't pretend to be one. I don't do a lot of technical analysis on this channel. But I think the really just general basics of the technicals confirm the fundamentals, which is my assumption that basically we are in a crypto adoption super cycle, that there's so many use cases taking off, there's so many new users pouring into the crypto space that that value can accrue to the cryptocurrencies themselves, that the adoption is not slowing down anytime soon, and there's no reason to think that crypto price trend is going to be bearish. Okay, that's still my thesis. It's still intact. I think the technicals still are somewhat in line with the fundamentals. Now, when could those fundamentals detach, or when could those technicals, the price basically, detach from the fundamentals if something causes irrational market behavior either direction? So we could have some sort of big panic that causes price to go down. I would think that'd be temporary. We could have some sort of parabolic blow off top, which could be irrational, right? And that, in my opinion, would cause some sort of long-term bear market. I don't know how long-term. It's also highly dependent on the magnitude of the parabolic run. Crypto could always see a black swan event that causes it to go to zero. Highly unlikely, but those are the possibilities in my mind. All right, so one perspective on this that I just saw come up a few minutes ago. This is from Willy Woo here. So Willy is saying he thinks the institutional sell-off to book profits is complete. The January sees capital redeployment. The holiday season is now retail only. Sophisticated traders building long positions on calendar futures, holders holding the line on chain. Happy holiday season, everyone. So, this first line here is something I've seen a lot of people talking about, which I think there definitely could be something to this. Some of the bearishness that we've seen over the past month or so, in part, right, could be due to this, because crypto prices are, crypto markets move based on a number of factors. Not always just one thing that caused the price to go up, down, sideways. There's lots of players, way more players now than there were ever before. And now that we have wider institutional participation in crypto, that is going to have an impact on what the markets decide to do depending on the time of year. So basically, at the end of the year, there's going to be some pressure for certain institutions to book profits, to book profits so they can show their P&L for the year, profit and loss statement, to say that, look, we made some money, right? We booked some profits. Here you go. Now, that is likely going to have the opposite effect in January for people who are going to make longer-term bets on this space. I say longer-term, I mean just for the duration of 2022, that some of those profits that got taken in December are likely going to get redeployed by the same people, if not more people, in January and also Q1 of 2022, which very likely could see increasing prices around that time. Now, nobody knows for sure, but these are some fundamental factors that I think could kind of cause, could be a catalyst for a next leg, right? So other factors that could be a catalyst for next leg in terms of new participants entering the space are people who have been looking at the crypto markets, and these are the institutions that I'm talking about, who've been looking at crypto markets for a lot of time in 2021, and a lot of the institutions go through all this process to make big decisions, okay, and a lot of that process is now taken place, and we'll be looking to allocate in 2022, and could very likely be allocating in Q1 of 2022. All right, so that could be another big catalyst for a next leg up. So he also is saying here that the holiday season is now retail only, so things could get interesting if people get some Christmas money and decide to go maximum leverage, risk on with their discretionary income. Could see some leverage bubbles over the holiday break here. So I see a question here in the live chat that I want to address. It says, let's talk about the general direction of blockchain. So Jack Dorsey's comments have triggered a red flag for me. Do you see blockchain that is more decentralized than Ethereum but faster than Bitcoin? No, not anywhere even close. Now that being said, we've been talking about Jack's comments over the past couple days on this channel. So definitely go check out those live streams. I'll recap some of that, but also illuminate some of my thoughts here, okay? Or illuminate this topic, this question, this quandary, this confusion. So basically, let's talk about this. So Jack, I'm see if I can find the memes here. Jack's been kind of talking about Web 3.0 on Twitter. He's not had very nice things to say about this, but I'll always preface this with, Jack has done some pretty amazing stuff. I mean, he's built Twitter. As much as we'd like to sit here and complain about, the horrors of what centralization can be, especially when we're talking about Web 2.0, mega corporations, like he's built something pretty amazing. So full respect to Jack, right? I'm not, want to make sure that I'm always prefacing that. But he's been very critical of what we're doing here with Web 3.0, and I want to respond to it, okay? Because it confuses a lot of people. People see memes online, they just instantly shut down, and that's why I really want to talk about it, because I think there is a ton of long-term potential here, and people are checking out this space. I don't want them to just have their hopes and dreams dashed because they see somebody really prominent saying negative things about it, okay? So basically, I can't find the meme off the top of my head. Let's just see here. But we've seen things basically talking about, Web 3.0 being a joke, that you don't actually own Web 3.0, that VCs own Web 3.0, all that type of stuff. So there is something to be said for what Jack is talking about. But let me break that down. So basically, what he's saying is the ethos of Web 3.0 is that you can create something where you create a protocol or an application where the people who use it, the users themselves, can actually take ownership over the thing that they are using and benefit more in a communal way by using the application, okay, and by owning the application, all right, because the users own it, they get to govern it, and they also get the financial upside of how well the thing does over time. All right, and that's different from Web 2.0, where you have something like Twitter, where who owns Twitter? I mean, it's a publicly traded company now, so even before it's a publicly traded company, basically just a bunch of private equity investors, VC firms, all types of stuff. People who initially gave seed capital to Twitter, right? There may be people who just pour their own money back into it, right? That they built it, they're the ones that own it. But it's not really users, right? So once it goes public, sure, users could buy Twitter stock, but the vast majority of people who are owning Twitter aren't using it necessarily. Or if they are, they're not like the hardcore, sold-out, passionate users of Twitter. So you have this thing where you have people owning it versus the people using it, and their interests are not always in line, right? We've seen the horrors of Web 2.0. We're talking about tracking, privacy issues, all this type of stuff. It's very extractive, right? A lot of times you're just using something for free, and in return, you're giving information, a lot of times unknowingly, and then that information is getting sold, and many times outside your awareness, to advertisers, primarily to advertise on their platform, but sometimes just to other advertisers, and you have no idea where your information is going, right? There's a lot more people out there in the world who know more about you than you might care to know. So, that's kind of what Web 2 is, and so Web 3 is kind of an answer to that. I'm not saying that we're not going to have any privacy issues in Web 3.0. We've clearly talked about that in this video. But the change in direction is that you can create something that you use that you also have ownership over. So through tokens, all right, that actually do something in an ecosystem where the more people use it, like the more you can benefit, and everybody benefits. Now, of course, the early people might benefit more than the later people. That's why people say, oh, it's a Ponzi scheme, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's totally true because there's lots of examples we can talk about. I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want to slow down the explanation here. So that's what Web 3.0 is. Now, Jack has kind of come onto the scene and said, hey, that's a total joke because the people who are owning the thing, like that you're talking about, are all just VCs, right? VCs are coming in and buying things up because they want to control it. They want to get the majority ownership of Web 3.0. And sure, you might have this little like measly stake in the thing, but really the big boys are all the institutions and VCs that have come in and front run everybody else. Okay. So that's, and also just for clarification, I know a VC is a venture capitalist or venture capital firm. It's one of the most common ways that Web 2.0 projects are founded, really big ones, right? You just have these firms that are basically have a lot of money and they're just, sowing seeds across a lot of different businesses, hoping that some of them will be wildly successful. Most of them are not going to be, right? And we see that type of participation in Web 3.0 as well. And a lot of the criticism here is that basically you have these projects that have massive token allocations to venture capitalists, right? And that they're gonna own everything and control everything, and the user owned stuff is just a facade. So there is something to be said for what Jack is talking about, because there are projects where that is 100% true. I'm not gonna just sit up here and point fingers and name and shame, but there are projects where that is 100% true. So I think more people need to talk about that and say yeah, Jack, you're right, but that's not true of everything. Okay, so kind of unpacking Jack's position a little bit more. Clearly he doesn't think that every single blockchain is a scam. Clearly he doesn't think that every single blockchain has no Web 3.0 application or usefulness, because Jack's a hardcore Bitcoiner. He just doesn't like a lot of other stuff. Okay, so you have to take what he's saying and really try to find what he means based on a few comments on Twitter and also some memes that have been shared around and commented on. Okay, so the truth is somewhere in between. And so I think we've seen Jack say some things directly negative about Ethereum in this regard. I think either saying outright or implying. I don't have the statements right in front of me. Definitely go find them, form your own interpretations. But this is my read on Jack's position on Ethereum, is that it is guilty of what he's talking about, which is basically you think that it's owned by the users, but it's not really. Which I don't think it's totally true. I don't think it's as bad as what he's making it out to be. I think he wants to say that because I think he wants to show that Bitcoin fixes this. You know what I mean? Well, I actually think it's true. So, I think the Ethereum supply, Ether itself has been out for a very long time. It's had a long time to change hands to where it really has decentralized the supply quite a bit. We've had more time for people to come in and actually accumulate Ether, more time for people to actually run infrastructure, from mining infrastructure to nodes. Can it be more decentralized? Can it be better? Can it be bigger? Can it be stronger? It definitely can. Okay, but I think it's at some point you have to say it's good enough. All right, and I think it's good enough. And can it be better? Of course it can be better. I think it's good enough. And then there are some things that, in my opinion, though, that aren't even in the good enough category. You have a massive centralization of nodes. You have a massive centralization of the currency supply, all that type of stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to just point fingers and do all this type of stuff, but there is that, and that fits the description of what Jack's talking about way more, in my opinion. But I don't think Ethereum really is worthy of that kind of harsh criticism. I'll put it that way. Were there early, VCs that were super influential in the early days of Ethereum? Of course there are. There still ones that are highly influential now. Of course there are. But at the end of the day, the goal is not to keep venture capitalists out of Web 3.0. It's just to let everybody else also participate and to decentralize the power, okay? Because, and decentralize the ownership. Because in the day, you don't want to, like, if you're just going to say that venture capitalists can't participate, then you're basically making crypto exclusive. It's just exclusive to a different crowd. And that's not really what we want to do. It's public open infrastructure. Anybody can buy it. Anybody can participate. It's just, we want everybody to be able to do, have a shot. I'll take a couple more questions here, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Wrap it up for our last. So that'll be our last stream of the year. So what was the last burning questions for 2021 before we wrap up our last stream of the year? It's been a crazy year. Maybe we should have done like a 2022 year in review. That would have been a cool thing. Somebody says, you are a blockchain dev, right? Crypto has been tracked since day one. How come you are only now saying this? Well, this is not the first time I said this on my YouTube channel. And the reason I'm saying it today, if you watched the beginning of the video, is I saw a news article that came out talking about this. And it is highly relevant for people to know this. And so that's why we decided to talk about it today. Will there be a higher demand for blockchain jobs in 2022? I think so. In the very least, I don't think it's going to become worse than it is now. If it decreases in some way, I don't think it's going to decrease in a way that's going to significantly impact the opportunity for you. Of course, nobody has a crystal ball, but I don't see the demand for blockchain technology slowing down anytime soon. If anything, I think it's going to accelerate. And even, let's take a worst case scenario. Let's say the demand drops by 50%. Even if that happened, that everybody watching this live stream just changed their careers overnight, became blockchain developers, that's still not going to change the opportunity in a material way for you. I mean, I was here during 2018, 2019 when the bear market happened, and there was still an insane demand for blockchain if you knew the right stuff. When's the blockchain dev guide coming out? Soon. I just recorded it yesterday. What's the best way to get started in coding so you can make a career? So definitely check out that guide. The Blockchain Dev Guide for 2022 is coming out very soon. If you want a shortcut in the meantime, you can definitely go check out the video pinned to my YouTube homepage right now, how to become a blockchain developer in 2021. A lot of that stuff's still highly relevant. I'm just updating it for 2022, coming out pretty soon. Do you think ETH will postpone mining before mid-year? I think proof of stake's going to come out in Q2 of 2022. We'll see, but they pushed the difficulty bone back until June. What's the biggest ETH advancement of last year? EIP 1559, definitely. Now we're burning new ETH. Now we're burning ETH whenever new transactions are created. Are there sources that link identities to wallets? The answer is yes, but there's lots of different ways to do it. I mean, we've seen stories of hackers, checking their balances on Etherscan and stuff, or not Etherscan, but other block explorers. I think it was whatever the block explorer that Chainalysis runs, and they just instantly figured out who it was. I mean, we've seen stories like little breadcrumbs floating around, CIA owning protocols on crypto. Basically just honeypots. Where's the link for job listing? I will put that in the live chat replay right now. It's dappuniversity.com/jobs. So yes, we are still hiring for 2022, trying to grow the team. I have several open roles: primary needs, blockchain developer, content creator, research analyst, content creator, Basically, if you can code and you're good on camera, like to explain things, we want to hire you. If you are good at analyzing relevant pieces in the news, also you know how to use crypto, you know how to use MetaMask, you know how to use, trade on the DEX, buy NFTs, understand how to find new projects. We want to hire you as well. You got to be good on camera though. You got to know how to create content. We also need a YouTube thumbnail designer and general graphic designer, and also a project manager to keep track of everything that we got going on here. Have I seen the Masari token distribution chart? Yes. Yes, I have. So what will I consider part-time candidates? So these are definitely going to be full-time positions for now. Our flash loan is really being used still, yes, every single day, every single block, basically. Maybe not every block, but every day. When will Dapp University be fully decentralized? We've got some cool ideas about this actually coming down the road. I mean, we're still pretty heavily reliant on, the videos that you're watching now on YouTube. I mean, a lot of that's just got to do with that's where people are. That's, there's a lot of people who are not, we don't have the solution to that right now. What do I want for Christmas? That's a good question. I could say something really like trite and noble sounding, like peace on earth. But it would still be sincere. So have I gotten into developing on Solana? Because I like the way I explain things, and Rust Solana is such a great opportunity. So I have experimented with Solana. We just did a video on Solana development inside the Blockchain Mastery Program. So I mean, my take on it for now is definitely, yeah, I mean, Rust is cool from a programming language standpoint. Rust is going to be harder for beginners to learn, in my opinion. The other thing is it might have a big upside opportunity. You might be right. But still, if I were starting over from scratch today, what would I learn? I would learn Solidity for lots of reasons. Number one, it's a way surer bet, in my opinion, from a technology perspective. So when you're a beginner, like you want to try to build your career on something that has a long-term potential, more likely that it's going to be around in 5 years, because that first 5 years, first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you don't want to be switching around between too many things, in my opinion. You want to really hone in and focus. And so you want something that's got, you can ride up for a while. The other thing is it's got a pretty rich developer ecosystem. So last thing you want to do when you're a beginner is learn something where you get stuck, like you can't figure out how to get unstuck. We got a pretty good developer ecosystem around Ethereum-based tooling now. The other thing is if you can build with Solidity, you can put Solidity smart contracts on so many different blockchains, so many different environments. You're not just limited to the Ethereum mainnet. Lots of great libraries and tools. That's what I would personally say. Do I advise you to start blockchain development in 2022? I'm not going to advise anybody to do anything directly, but if I were starting from scratch and was looking for a career change or was looking to change my developer skills, then that's what I would personally do in 2022. Awesome. So Bit Labs is saying that they started a mining farm in Colorado. Congratulations. All right, everybody. That's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. It really helps the videos out so more people can learn about blockchain. So again, no live stream after today until the new year. I will be back on January 3rd. I'll be back to live streaming. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be putting out a couple of YouTube videos between now and then, but I'm going to be taking a break from streaming to just recharge my batteries for 2022. We got a big year ahead of us. We want to grow the team. We still got these job applications open, so if you haven't applied yet, definitely go hit up dappuniversity.com/jobs. If you have some extra time on your hands over the holidays, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those videos, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, actually become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right, so that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever holiday you decide to celebrate between now and January 3rd. Hope you have a great time. Everybody stays safe, enjoys time with people they care about. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.